We'll call this meeting to order since you're all ready. All right, appreciate everybody being here on such a beautiful day. And we got a good agenda here and got a nice proclamation we get to give out tonight. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that. First thing on our agenda is our beer board. And first thing there, Alderman, is the approval of the minutes.
Make a motion we approve as presented.
motion
And
to
is that in addition to the ones we received this afternoon?
Yes.
So there should actually be 2 sets of minutes.
Yep.
3, says Donna. Do we have another bid? So 3 sets of minutes, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I make a motion we approve all 3 as presented.
All right, got a motion to approve from Alderman Wolf.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion on that? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Calamine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. And the one item we got for our beer board tonight is an application for on-premises beer license for Texas Burritos LLC, located at 109 Courthouse Square here in Jonesborough. Alderman, you can see the recommendation there. Everything seems to be in order. Any questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move we approve as presented and recommended.
Got a motion to approve from Alderman Wolf.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Calamine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
All right, that motion carried. Now we'll move into our regular meeting. And the first item on the agenda is our opening prayer by Vice Mayor Adam Dixon.
Let us all pray. Dear God, we truly do appreciate you in a mighty special way, God, for this day, this moment, and this time. God, when we take a little bit of time to think about ourselves and our lives, we realize that we are nothing. We realize, Lord God, that we are very small. Think about this large universe that you have crafted. God, we are just a fraction, but we are so appreciative for everything that you do, everything that you mean to us, how you lead and guide our lives. We're grateful people. God, we ask, Lord, that you continue to bless this community and the people in it. We ask, Lord, that you continue to make our bonds stronger. We ask, Lord, that you continue to, God, exemplify, God, in us, your goodness, your grace, your mercy, your warmth, your love. Lord, we just ask that you continue to bless each and every one of us, your people. God, we ask that you guide this board in our deliberations this evening. And may the words of our hearts and the words of our mouths and meditation of our hearts be acceptable in your sight. Lord, we ask it. God, in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Adam. Our next item is our pledge. And first I want to say thank you to Ruth. She put on a great flag ceremony on Friday. Had a great turnout, just a beautiful sight. And Allison Wilkinson was there as well, who plays a big part with our Daughters of the American Revolution. So thank you to both of them for putting on such a great event. It's fitting that we get to say the pledge, and Ruth asked me to lead us. So if it's face the flag, I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Madam Recorder, roll call, please.
Mayor Best.
Here.
Alderman Causey.
Here.
Alderman Calamine.
Here.
Alderman Dixon.
Here.
Alderman Wolf.
Here.
All right, we'll go right into our consent agenda. Alderman, anything on there you want to see pulled? If not, we'll take a motion.
Well, wait a minute. I want to say something about this consent agenda. I've thought several different things that we could do with this consent agenda would be appropriate tonight. But I guess the biggest thing we could do would be just to bring to the attention of everybody here that we've got 2 guys tonight that we can be very proud of in our fire department that are going to be assuming greater leadership roles. That's Jason Freeman and Jeff White, still hiding behind Tom Pardue back there. Both of them have very big hearts for Jonesborough. Both of them are local gentlemen who are the tops in their field, who exemplify professionalism, and who people in this town universally love and respect. And I want to say to both of you a hearty congratulations. I thought about Jeff pulling it off the consent agenda so we could vote on it individually, but just know that when we all vote for this consent agenda, we're voting for both of you guys in particular tonight. We love you, and we appreciate what you mean to everybody in this room and the people of Jonesborough. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Kelly. I think that says a lot, too, for our leadership here in town, that we're able to promote such quality people from within our ranks. And when you're hiring a fire chief, you can cast your net real wide and get some quality people. But we cast that net real wide and realize we've got just what we need here in Jonesborough.
And just for what it's worth, you know, when the downtown was about to be burned down, Jeff White, in his police uniform, grabbed a fire extinguisher and saved the whole shooting match. So Jeff, that was back when the barbecue grill had too much grease in it, and that young man right there saved all of downtown for us. So thank you for that, Jeff. Every
If
bit of
y'all
it.
don't know, we had a fire at the Barrel House, is what Kelly's speaking of, and it was a gas line real close to where Jeff went running in to help
People
start
in the
putting out the
apartment
fire.
above it and all kinds of stuff.
And it could have been a really big disaster, and that's why he got Employee of the Year that year, but I think he's got his best promotion right now.
Yep. I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, got a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Second from Alderman Causey. Any discussion?
Oh, that's called.
All right, call the vote, please.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. And again, like I always like to say in our consent agenda, some of the things that are in there are operations manager's report, which Craig always does a great job getting us a lot of information on what the crews did throughout the month. The same thing with Glenn and his administrator report, our supervisor committee reports, but also we approved, see, we got David Sell here, who is one of our former aldermen, so it's good to have him in the crowd tonight. But we have a dead tree that's hanging on his property and our property, and to reduce the chance of somebody getting hurt driving through one of our streets, we're taking that tree down. So appreciate David working with us on that. That's a good consent agenda. Now, Alderman, we'll move right into our regular agenda. First item on there is our financial report.
Madam Recorder, how goes it? How are we doing?
Financial house is in order.
Amen.
Like that.
I'll keep it brief.
That's good. We've been having budget workshops, and you all are welcome to come to any of those anytime you want, especially if you have insomnia. It's a great cure. Guaranteed to be asleep in 10 minutes. But we're having budget workshops, and Janet has done a fantastic job in what's still her first, not even year on the job, pulling, how long have you been? 6 months? 8 months?
Almost 10.
Oh, 10, okay, time flies. Pulling things together for the budget, and it's no easy task. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of just volume of things, but we're very appreciative of what you do with that, Janet.
Mr. Rosenoff and Mr. Ford have worked tirelessly, and it's a great team. I'm really honored to be able to work with the two of them and with you as a board. It's an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Alderman, anybody got any questions or comments about the financial report? If not, we'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion's approved from Alderman Dixon,
Second.
second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now we'll move right into some communications from myself, and we've got, several good things to address tonight. I just want to make one quick comment on some things, some actions this board took, several months ago that people didn't quite understand why we did it, and that was one, lowering the speed limit there on the Boones Creek Road. It really became somewhat unbearable with the number of accidents we were having on the Boones Creek Road. We have a speed limit of 45 out there forever, and I want to say that 93% of the people that we measured were speeding, and of that 93%, 85% of them were doing 15 to 20 miles an hour over that speed limit. So it's got to be really dangerous. We have close to 10,000 cars a day on that little Boones Creek Road, and we addressed it. The only way that you could is by reducing the speed limit down to 30. You hope people stay at that point at 40 or below. And it's worked. Our crashes so far this year on the Boones Creek Road are down 25%, but in the last 3 months, they're down 50%. So that's the reason we took those actions. Sometimes people accuse you of, setting up a speed trap when you lower your speed, but when people are speeding at 93%, you can write tickets all day long if you wanted to, but we don't have the luxury of the time to do that. But lowering the speed is something that really reduced the crashes. And it's a tribute to our police officers. They wrote a ton of warning tickets out there and on 11E. Our accidents are down on 11E as well, Jackson Boulevard. So,
And Mayor, I've heard from several residents on Boones Creek Road about the fact that they could actually get out of their driveways now.
absolutely, yeah. So it was a good decision by the board, and I appreciate the, Chief Rice getting us the information that we need on how many tickets we're writing, how many warnings are we giving out. We wrote a lot more warnings than ever before, just to make our streets a little bit safer, because traffic's not going to get less. So appreciate that. You also hear a lot from people too about the amount of growth we have here in Jonesborough, and I always get asked, what can we do about all the houses and stuff going up, and the only thing you can say is that people need a place to live, and if you want the cost of houses to get less, you got to have somewhat an increase of supply. So that's just naturally going to happen if we want affordable places to live. And some actions this board took last year, and I think we're going to do it again during a budget year, was to make it to where the town doesn't have to scramble so much when we have a development come into town, where we've got to fix our streets, or you got to build some sidewalks and all those things that take money. And we did increase our permit fees last year on what developers would pay. Unanimous vote on that. It allowed us to collect more money on the front end to improve those infrastructure things that we needed. And that's things we're going to address again today, because that's the only way we can handle this growth without putting an undue burden on our taxpayers is things like that. So we're taking actions to kind of handle all those things. Quickly to say that we got record membership at our senior center, over 2,100 members at our senior center here, and it's just going to grow. It's a beautiful center, great operation, great leadership. Got Lincoln Park right next to it. That's beautiful. So excited to see that. And there's a lot of interest out there in recycling, and we did set up our recycling center down on State Route 34 going towards Crockett. We got 2 containers up down there now that will take cardboard. And I think in the future we might look at plastic when we have somebody ready to buy them. But now if you've got your cardboard, you can take it down on State Route 34, just right here at the edge of town, and recycle the cardboard. So looking forward to that. All right, next I'd like to recognize a group of young ladies that did something not many people do. We've got a new school here in Jonesborough, and what better way to, break that new school in than with a state championship. So we're lucky and honored to have the 2024 Jonesborough Middle School girls track team here who won the state championship. So we've got a proclamation for you ladies. I always like to say there's so much you can learn from sports and athletics. You learn a lot about yourself from winning and losing. Sounds like you all did a lot more winning than you did losing, so that's great. But stay active in sports. You learn so much from that. And appreciate Mike Rice, the coach. I'm sure putting in a lot of his own personal time to coach these girls, and it's a blessing when you have parents and adults who will help coach you. So make sure you tell them thank you. So we'll come down and read this to you. Y'all would come right up here at the front. We'll spread out right through here, some over here. Tom Pardue, he's going to point the camera at you. Can get you a few right here, and we can face Tom right there. And I'm going to read this. Mike, you hop in here. This is honoring the 2024 Jonesborough Middle School girls track and field team. Whereas the Jonesborough Middle School Tigers girls track team, comprised of 8 girls: Aubrey Bishop, Cadence Commander, Bailey Little, Olivia Ogle, Ella Riddle, Zoe Schmote, Trinity Sales, and Brianna Watson. And whereas the team just completed a very successful season, culminating in winning a first-place championship during the TMSAA Track and Field State Meet held at Austin Peay State University. And whereas the players, coaches, and parents spent countless hours at practices, traveling to and from meets, supporting the players and team. And whereas it is with great pride that the Jonesborough Board of Mayor and Aldermen recognizes the commitment, determination, and accomplishments of all those involved in this championship season. And now, therefore, by the authority invested in me as mayor and on behalf of the Jonesborough Board of Mayor and Aldermen and our citizens, I commend the 2024 Jonesborough Middle School Girls Track Team and coaches for their tireless efforts and tremendous success. Our board wishes them continued success in their future endeavors. Girls, Mike, that's for you. Is there anything you want to tell us about these girls? And
Well, they're a great bunch. They're hard workers. That's the biggest thing. I felt like we were just along for the ride. I want to thank them for allowing me the opportunity, but thank my coaches. The coaches were amazing. Couldn't do it without the help of the game and the parents giving us that opportunity. A special bunch. Definitely love these kids, and they represented Jonesborough very well.
very good. Well, thank you. Turn sideways a little bit. There you go.
Follow what he's saying.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. You all have anything you want to share? All right.
One other thing I would like, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Jonesborough has been so gracious, and the new school is amazing, and we love it. It's a beautiful school. There's so much going on in Jonesborough, and like you talked about, the growth is amazing. We've got the facilities and the park. It's going to be beautiful.
Mhm.
Can't wait to see it as it comes together. We've requested a track.
Yeah.
A track to run on. These athletes, we were bouncing around quite a bit this year between Grandview and Crockett and all the construction and all, but it's a beautiful facility, an actual track to compete on. Just the foresight with the growth of this community, there's so many things I know I can envision that the community can use that park for, to have a track hosting events, whether it be track meets, bringing money into the school and money to the city, as well as other events, cross country and so forth. But if there's any way to work it around so we can have a track that you can compete on, which means at least 6 lanes to compete on, would be wonderful. We really would appreciate that, especially with all the growth. I know there's going to be a lot more kids coming in over the next number of years.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you and we can talk about that. So, all right. Thank you all. Yeah. Now you get to Crockett, we want you to do the same thing at Crockett, okay? If you need anything from me, anything else?
Okay, fine, appreciate it. You want them to stick around, or?
You're free to do what
It's kind of safer in here with the kids.
Get while the getting's good. Get while it's good.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Congratulations, Coach.
All right, last thing I've got is Employee of the Month. And we've got a good one here. Brian Atkins, you mind coming forward?
Hey.
You've been working? I work with the water department. There you go. I'm gonna let you hold this. I was kind of reading through this. A lot of times when Malcolm writes these, he writes a book. And it's like, if I didn't want to spend up here 30 minutes talking, I have to kind of cut some stuff out. But you see how much Malcolm wrote. And when I started reading, I'm thinking, you can't cut any of that out of there, because what you did was really impressive. So let me read this. that I would like to nominate Brian Atkins for the honor and distinction of Employee of the Month for June of 2024. Brian Atkins began working with the town of Jonesborough in solid waste department. A few years ago, Brian took the opportunity to transfer over to the water distribution department. As you can see, he's been busy today. Brian had performed and had knowledge of nearly every position in solid waste department, including relief trash truck driver. Recently, Gary Miller, who drives the sidearm trash truck, needed to be off work for a family emergency. Brian Atkins was called upon to operate the trash truck and run Gary's route for a couple of days. Brian quietly accepted the challenge and drove Gary's route. Brian never complained. He just got familiar with the truck and performed the route. While in Walnut Grove subdivision, a contractor for Bright Ridge ruptured a buried gas tank and the burying cable while burying the cable. Atmos Gas showed up and stopped vehicular traffic on Oakwell Lane. As Brian rounded the corner to complete his route, he quickly learned that no traffic was allowed on Oakwell Lane. And of course, they got all the trash cans put out. Brian positioned his truck at one end of Oakwell, quietly got out of his truck, and walked to each house on the block, pulling each house's trash can all the way down the block to the trash truck waiting at the end of the block. He then emptied each trash can, then without fanfare, he pushed each trash can back to the rightful house. What is most interesting about this extra work that Brian had to perform is the fact that he did not call for help or backup, nor did he tell anyone about moving all the trash cans by hand during this segment of his route. A friend that I attended church with pulled me aside last Sunday and commented on what a hard-working and nicely ran truck driver we have. He went on to lay out the story of what Brian did to accomplish his relief driver duties while Gary was off work. Says our trash truck drivers do a fantastic job day in and day out, and occasionally a relief driver working for water distribution does an equally noteworthy job as well. Brian Atkins was a role model employee that day, and I'll say a person too for helping everybody out too. Not even realizing anyone had noticed the extra efforts and his pleasant attitude. He was there to perform a task made more difficult by the circumstances. For those reasons, I believe Brian Atkins should be awarded the honor and distinction of Employee of the Month, and everybody agreed. So thank you for what you did. What is it you're saying?
I should have been smarter and put the truck below it. Down and if you can't back up.
Yeah.
Going down the hill, fall, and back up into it. You'll know next time, Brian. That's pretty good.
I tell you, I've worked in the service industry my whole life, and just things like that separates you from others. And when you do those special things like that. So thank you, Brian. All right, Alderman, that's all I've got. Now we'll move into citizens' comments. Anybody here to speak to the board tonight? All right, very good. We'll move right into Alderman communications. And Adam, do you have something you wanted to share?
I just wanted to echo what Alderman Wolf has said and Mayor Best alluded to. I think about our town, and there's a very proud legacy that we have here in this town. I think about someone like Mr. Alfred Greenlee, who served as director of water for years and knew every line in the town of Jonesborough. And the man was knowledgeable and was vital. And he was an asset to the town. And when I think about now our our fire chief, I see that same kind of quality and legacy going about. And I find that to be very reassuring, and it reminds me about, again, what makes this community so special. And then I think about the fact when I see Chasen, and a very bright future, very promising, the energy and the drive. It reminds me. You used to see Mr. Greenlee, and then there was a young Mike McCracken that was with Mr. Greenlee everywhere. And you think about the years that Mike McCracken served here as Director of Water Distribution and the success that we had there. So again, I just think it's just very, very exciting what we're going to see here in Tennessee's oldest town. And congratulations to both of you.
Thank you, Adam. Kelly, anything else, or Virginia?
Go ahead. You don't have any? Okay. We're working hard on getting the Jackson Theater open, and we've had a lot of meetings about it. And we've got some really great folks from out of town, which automatically makes them experts, I'm teasing, who are helping us with it, but they both run theaters.
And they are experts.
And they are experts on top of being from out of town. But we're looking at a mid-September time frame for all that to come together and have a ribbon cutting and a grand opening. And we hope to open with a full slate of programming for the next several months in place once we open. But there's been a lot of anticipation, a lot of discussion. We can say, and we'll officially accept next month at our meeting, thank you to Ballad Health for giving us a significant contribution that will allow us to do two things: buy furniture and decorate the entire theater, and then honor Ballad's contribution by naming the main auditorium the Ballad Health Auditorium, which is a fantastic thing, and we thank them for their generosity. And they're not going to be the only ones that we end up naming some things after. We've got a plan A through Z, even down to the bathroom door, to name some things after folks. So we'll have plenty of opportunities for participation in the future. I was just joking, Glenn. We're not naming the bathroom door. I was joking. Sorry.
I wrote it down.
And the Rosenoff bathroom door. Yes.
It's got
Yeah. But okay, Dana. All right, the Dana Helvey bathroom door. But no, it's growing. The momentum is growing for it. I know you've seen the visual difference with the sidewalk in the front now complete. Really, really, really looks sharp. They were doing touch-up painting on the outside of the building today. It's really looking sharp. Tomorrow we'll be paving the alley. Really, really, really looks sharp. And I know the folks at Main Street Cafe are happy to get their drive-through window back open again once we, and if you're a patron, we thank you for your patience. But it'll all be worth the wait because it's going to be really, really nice when we get it done. So I want to commend our operations manager and the street department and everybody else who's been out there busting it and getting it done. Bright Ridge, Pike Electric, you name it. It's going to be, I sent our board an article that was in last Sunday's Tennessean from the head of the Heritage Foundation in Franklin, Tennessee. And they have a theater in Franklin called the Historic Franklin Theater. You know, we're very similar to Franklin in a lot of ways. And she was extolling the virtues on the 15th anniversary of the Franklin Theater about how it had become such a hub for everything that went on downtown in Franklin. And I see what we have invested, what we have planned, what we have hoped for, and what we will have when we open the Jackson playing the exact same role for Jonesborough. You ain't seen nothing yet till the doors are open. And just wait. We're going to ease into it, hopefully get it right and minimize the mistakes. But the Jackson Theater, friends, is going to be one of the most important and pivotal things going on in Jonesborough once the doors open. Isn't that right, Amber? Absolutely. It's what I thought she'd say. And Amber's leading it, which makes it even better. So that's all I wanted to say is there's a whole lot of stuff going on right now to make sure all that happens. And we're all super excited about it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Change my
Kelly.
mind.
Say so.
All right, Virginia.
I just want to say that being a former employee, of course, my heart goes to these employees. I watched Chasen grow up from a little boy up and watched him mature and be in this department he's in. I watched Jeff pretty much grow up also. And Amber, when she first started, I am proud of the town that we recognize our own employees
Yep.
to put them into higher up positions instead of bringing in other people, because we do have a lot of qualified employees that we have, and we need to recognize them.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Amen.
and, you know, just to stay on the fire department there, you know, we've got some big decisions to make, you know, this year with, you know, we've outgrown our fire department now. We've got great new leadership, but we're gonna have to have a expanded, you know, fire department, fire facility here soon. And, that's gonna be a big investment for us, for the town of Jonesborough. You know, fire stations are not cheap. They can run anywhere from, you know, 5 to 10 million or more. But, we've outgrown what we've got. We got more houses coming on, and if we wanna keep our homeowners insurance low, we've gotta have great fire service. And, I appreciate all the work that Craig's been putting into that to make sure, and Glenn, to make sure we keep our ISO rating where it needs to be. So if that was to suffer, you know, our homeowners insurance would go up. So glad to have great leadership, but at some point we're gonna have to give them some new facilities to handle, our future. So, thank you, Alderman. Town attorney comments. Matthew, you got anything to add?
Mr. Wheeler regrets he's not able to be here today, and sends his best to you all, and he's looked over all this and discussed it, so.
Very good.
Keep going.
Very good. All right, now we're gonna move into some old business, and looks like a lot of special events there. Alderman, you see the first one is discussion and possible action concerning special event application requests. We got Jeeps on Main, Olympics on Main, and townwide yard sale. Let's take Jeeps on Main first. As you can see, the recommendation there is to approve the event. Glenn, you got any comments on this before we?
Just an update that the new insurance form was provided and it is attached, and so that kind of concluded the hold harmless and the certificate of insurance. So both of those are obtained.
All right, so no reason we can't approve this one?
There's no conflicts with any other programs or events.
All right, Alderman, what's your
You have one more comment?
Oh, you're supposed to show me the number 2.
You weren't looking at me.
I wasn't looking. I was concentrating. I would say any approved street closures, rather than it be from Fox Street to First Avenue, that we move that to Second Avenue. As far as street closure. I do well?
For all 3 events.
For any event that the board approves.
Okay.
Because First Avenue is one way now, and that can.
Yep.
And it goes to
Going
Main
to
Street.
Second is where they're going.
Yep.
All right, very good. Virginia, you might have prevented a colossal traffic jam.
That's my job.
All right,
It
Alderman.
is.
I'll take a motion.
I move that can we approve all these at the same time,
I think
Matthew?
there's different recommendations in here, so we don't wanna
Okay.
go through them and let Glenn touch on them.
All right.
It's Jeeps on Main up first.
I feel like this is Jeopardy or something. So they Jeeps in Maine for 500.
Move to approve Jeeps on Main.
All right, got a motion to approve from Alderman Dixon,
Second.
second from Alderman Countermine. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Counterman.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now we'll move into Olympics on Main. As you can see, the recommendation says will be provided at the time of the meeting. So Glenn, what's your recommendation here?
So on Olympics on Main, one is that the insurance is provided, so that meets as far as the hold harmless and the certificate of insurance. From last meeting, I don't think anything has changed, but borrowing from what I wrote, one area of concern for Olympics on Main is that the road closure will be in conflict with Farmers Market that ends at 1 p.m. Farmers Market has already been approved by the BMA. The second part of that, maybe not necessarily a conflict, but it would be an extension of our police support services that works music on the square. Music on Mott's, music on the square. I don't see what happens when you're aging and you got to go to the senior center. But music on the square, and so that's basically at the end of Music on the Square. The pre-event activity calls for the movie Cool Runnings and for Main Street to be to continue to be closed till about 11 p.m. So, as we talked about last meeting, one of the things that we're having some escalation on is support services for not only the reoccurring events, but also the the new events. And again, this one would conflict with farmer's market, and then later on, music on the square.
Can I say something about the road closure? We're not requesting the road closure be closed at all. So for the Friday evening,
addressed
we're not requesting a road closure or a movie. And for Saturday, we're not requesting a road closure. It'll just be, we're still having the event, but with the road open. And then to work with police on some additional signage, festival in progress that they use for storytelling Jonesborough Days, but to keep Main Street open on Saturday.
Is it safe to have an Olympic event with no road closed?
Well, the events itself will not really be near Main Street. The closest one would be at the Central Christian Church, and that's going to be croquet.
Okay,
So we're utilizing Storytelling Park, Mill Spring Park,
okay.
and the grassy area at the Visitor Center.
Got it.
And they're going to be really off the side of the road
Okay.
Much better.
to the street. So we'd like to keep the road open for the Olympics on Main.
And that's August 10th, that's Saturday.
Correct.
And then what did you say about after music on the square for that Cool Runnings?
So we're not going to do that
Okay.
this year. So there's
Okay.
no need to extend the road closure on
Okay.
Friday
No
after the
conflicts?
music.
Matt, are you good with everything on this? I think there was some discussion about concern about the road not being closed. Does it need to be closed?
I think that when you have an event of any magnitude at all, people have that automatic assumption that the streets will be closed for some of those, so we have to be very careful when we approve an event, you know, that we're not, the public's not perceiving that the street's closed. We have, anytime we put a lot more people or pedestrians downtown, and they start interacting with vehicle or traffic, you know, that's a recipe for disaster, so, you know, if we don't know with this event whether or not that crowd's gonna be significant. So if the event is approved, you know, it's gonna fall back on us and my staff, and I'm gonna have to staff it accordingly to close the street if it gets to that point. So,
Okay.
it's one of those things that's one of the considerations that have to be.
So you can make that call as needed
We
still?
can, but it's one of those things, we have to plan that.
Right.
You know, anytime, especially with the new event that we're, you know, that we've not experienced in the past, you know, we have to staff it for that. So, you know, when we do that, we're gonna have 4 or 5 guys that are down there working, you know, with the whole idea of they're there just in case we end up having
Right.
to close the street.
Would it be better just to go ahead and close it, and then in the event that there's not a huge crowd there, then you could open it back up?
We can, you know, but it's one of those things too, that's the unique thing with downtown is if we have an event, everybody automatically assumes the street's
Yep.
closed, and then if we open it back up while the
Yep.
event's going on, then,
There's
you know,
things.
for me,
Well-
in my perspective, it's much better if we close the street, but
Yep.
leave it closed for the duration.
Yep.
And then open just so that there's a smooth
Yep.
transition back into normal traffic.
No offense, Jeff.
So your recommendation
We've
is
got,
close it?
we've got a higher calling here. We gotta look at safety.
Oh, I agree a
So-
100%.
So I would be in favor personally of closing it, just to make sure that we don't, and if we see that we don't need it closed, okay.
On the, of course, you never know what kind of crowd to expect.
That's right.
However, with this event, we are capping our ticket sales at 175, so that's a low number.
Okay.
That would represent 300 to 400 people
Right.
if that sells out.
Right.
So we're not expecting 1,000 or 2,000.
Okay.
So we're trying to be conservative with our numbers to at least sell out to where we don't lose money, but maybe we break even. But
Okay.
in that 200 to 400 range, people-wise, is what we would
Okay.
like to have.
Matt?
I think with the ticket sales, in theory, it's a good thing, but a lot of people will come even though they're not purchasing tickets for those
Yeah.
events.
Yeah.
Which, you know, still has a
Yeah.
humongous
Yeah.
effect on our
Yeah.
traffic flow,
Yeah.
whether there's tickets are sold or not.
And the impact on the farmer's market, is that minimal, I guess, because they, finish up about 11?
Ours would start at 11, farmer's market officially ends at noon.
Well, you can get to the farmer's market to the parking lot, yeah, to the courthouse parking lot.
And like I said in the last meeting, and I totally get, the road closure is above my pay grade. You know, so I
No,
respect the,
We just
but-
need to be thinking about that, because it's, I mean, Christmas tree lighting. You know, we weren't closing it for that for the longest time, and doggone people are about to get run over.
Yeah.
So it's just important to be consistent, I think. I think that's what I'm hearing here, so. Thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
If I can just add, that, with the farmer's market, we make sure, and I know there's a part on here you asked for communications under publicity, so while we're publicizing the event, that we also publicize that there's 2 events going on and what time the road will be closed, just so there's no, people get confused. They're not the same event, and we'll close it sometime when at 11, 10:30, 11, something like that.
I'll make a motion, Mayor, that we approve this event minus the movie on Main, since that's not happening, and close the street for.
Very good. You heard the motion from Alderman Wolf,
Second.
second from Alderman Causey. Any discussion, Alderman? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Terry.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Very good. I think sometimes it just shows you really the success we have with events now are almost universal. Every time we have one, it's good turnout. So it's probably better to be safe than sorry by getting that street closed. So very good. Now we'll move into the town-wide yard sale. It says recommendation will be provided at the meeting. Glenn, what's your feedback on that? And do we have any changes, Jeff?
I can say that the insurance is complete.
So with the townwide yard sale, just like what I said about the Olympics, just going to request the road not be closed. For the road to remain open. So that's our Jamsa Group opinion, but there again, above my pay. There's just a fine line when you close the street, to close the street or not to close the street. And the last thing that we want to do is prevent people from coming to town. And there's that fine line to where it just looks empty. And we try really hard to put some things towards the front of the Central Christian Church area to let people know there's an activity going on. But it can be a detriment at times when the road is closed. So we're just trying not to interfere with other people's businesses regarding that. So
I think if I remember right, it was either last year or the year before, the turnout for this was crazy good.
It was.
About the weather, and my concern was it seemed like people, because it wasn't closed, people were in a hurry. I guess they wanted to go to this yard sale, they didn't want to go to this one, so traffic seemed to be moving a little bit faster than it should. And to me, that was, of all the events I've seen, that one seemed to be the most dangerous
I
because of
agree
that.
completely.
it also had the vendors on the sidewalks. So what I would do for this one that would be different would be to utilize the visitor center, sidewalk, and the grass behind the sidewalk to the library. With the exception if there's an overflow area to be right in front of the courthouse where it's the widest. So the activity could be all at
All
the
at
visitor center
area.
and none on any of the sidewalks going from Central Christian Church to,
Well,
Towards Main
if you
Street
didn't have
Parkway.
anything down there, we had no need reason to close the street at that point. There's no.
just right in front of the courthouse area near the steps, not close to the road.
Okay. Matt, what do you think?
Matt, you got an opinion on this one?
I do. This one is a little more unique, because it's in the title. It's a townwide yard sale. When we restrict flow, because we're gonna have people set up on sidewalks,
Yep.
on Jonesborough subdivision,
Yep.
all the way up East
Yep.
Main.
Yep.
Simply closing Main Street at that point creates a bottleneck all over town. So, from my perspective, it's gonna be much safer for us to, taking all things into consideration, for me to put staff at it rather than close that street so that we can physically slow down traffic
Okay,
that's
versus
good.
slowing down all traffic flow.
Okay.
Because if we, the Boone Street gets backed up with people for the event, College Street gets backed up, Main Street, Spring, all of them are packed, so we still have to be able to move traffic.
Would you start a file of all these
Uh,
festivals so we can keep track on what we did the year before and whether it worked or not? Pretty please. Thank you.
Chief Rice is collecting data.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, having a police presence there, that will hopefully manage the speed of people rushing from one place to another.
It is, and it's a balance because, we still have to, even though the events are wonderful and people come out from them, we still have to move a volume of traffic.
Yep.
We can't continue to stick them on Wood Road, we can't
Yep.
continue to move them up.
That's
Fox.
dangerous, yeah.
It's getting,
Yep.
we're gonna have to figure out some options.
So we're gonna keep this one open.
Make a motion, we approve, thank you, Jeff. Make the motion, we approve this event with the street remaining open as requested.
All right, very good. Got a motion from Alderman Wolf,
Second.
Got a second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Halsey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
All
I
right.
think in the near future, we need to have a meeting, maybe with JAMSA and people that are putting these events on. We need to come up with a uniform plan on these, instead of having one do this and one do that.
Yeah.
I-
One,
And I
one of the
think-
one of the ideas, it goes back and forth is trying to capture, in particular, the reoccurring events, kind of like Jonesborough Locally Grown does, and they come in with the kind of the yearly events, and it's usually one point of contact that's submitting them, and then you go back. The communications is a bit faster, but
Now,
we can definitely work with JAMSA.
and Mayor, I want to offer one more thing. Jeff, you're a very creative guy, and JAMSA does a lot to support our downtown merchants and bring people to Jonesborough. So on behalf of the town of Jonesborough, thanks for doing all this stuff. I know it's probably a pain sometimes to deal with all the moving parts and have to jump through the regulatory hurdles, but you know what? That has created habits for everybody in the region. When they don't have anything to do, they come to Jonesborough because they know there's something always going on. So, thank you for that.
Well, thank you for saying that, and, you know, we can all visually see the growth
Yep.
of housing. And oftentimes what we don't see is the growth on Main Street and the foot traffic, and foot traffic is key. Bristol added an event a couple weekends ago, and one of their leaders specifically mentioned foot traffic, and the last year and a half, it's been a challenge. We can't control the weather and other things, but
Yep.
it's been a challenge to have adequate foot traffic to support our business.
Yep. Well,
And with these, that certainly helps because the event actually comes into our stores and there's no other outside vendors.
yep, we have established patterns of behavior, and that is because of a long pattern of JAMSA putting on these types of events. So, thank you. Sorry, Mayor.
That's good. All right, that was all of our old business. Now we'll move into new business. First item there is discussion and possible action concerning approval of bids. And the first item up there is the scoreboards at Tiger Park Athletic Field. And you heard Mr. Mike Rice talk about that earlier, about the facilities we're building over there. And these are the scoreboards we need for the fields.
Make a motion we approve as presented.
Got a motion to approve from Alderman Wolf.
Second, Mayor.
A second from Alderman Dixon. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Halsey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Motion carried. And tell you what, we had 3 good bids on there, and they were all 3 really close. So the varsity school board's got that bid for $27,000 roughly, so that's pretty dang good.
Yep.
That's why we bid those
Better
things
better
out.
than we thought.
And this next bids, I tell you what, this is another reason why you bid these things out. This is our Harmony Road water line extension. Put that out for bids, and I tell you what, the winning bid was half of what the highest bid was. So
Yep.
that's proves the effectiveness of that.
Make a motion we approve as presented.
All right, got a motion to approve from Alderman Wolf. A second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Halsey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Motion carried, and good job, staff. We got 5 bids back on that, and again, the winning bid was $549,000, and most of the other ones were up there close to $1 million, so it paid off
Yep.
getting those bids, so. And it's a good local construction company. It's got a pretty good track record, so excited about that. Alderman, before we move forward, we got one little thing I'd like to see if you'll add to the agenda. Kelly talked about our success at the Jackson Theater, and one of those things is our programming committee needs to get set up, our marketing committee needs to get set up, so we can start, planning these things. So before you, Glenn gave us a list of the committee members to consider. As you can see them there. This will be somewhat temporary until we come back and by ordinance establish these committees and set up some, the length of terms of the seats, whether we stagger them or not. But
And formal governance overall.
absolutely. So we got more to do. This is the first step. So if you would add these committee appointments for the Jackson Theater to the agenda.
I would make the motion that we add the programming committee and the marketing committee for the Jackson Theater to the agenda
All
tonight.
right, got a motion to add these 2 committees to the agenda. From Alderman Wolf, a second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Catamount.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now you see
Mayor,
the,
I'll make a motion that we have the program committee as Lisa Whaley, Jennifer Bernhardt, Teresa Hammonds, Camille Waters, Emery Crumley, Steve Johnson, Dan Hayes, myself, and Glenn Rosenoff.
absolutely. You want to go ahead and list the marketing committee, and we'll do that one as well.
Well, okay. And then the marketing committee would be Steve Johnson, Dan Hayes, Camille Waters, Amber Crumley, Nora Swords. Swords or swords?
Sword.
Swords. Mitchell Calvin and Angela White. Sorry about that, Nora. That's how it looks.
All right, Alderman, you see, we got a motion from Alderman Wolf to approve these two committee members.
Second.
A second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Catamount.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
All right, motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor.
And one
Thank
thing, Kelly talked about the Jackson here, and these two advisors we got, Stephen Johnson and Dan Hayes. Dan Hayes, we appreciate these guys getting these consultants together, because Dan Hayes has got unbelievable experience and success at the Franklin Theater in Nashville. For them to come here, it's amazing. Stephen Johnson is another person that we're considering employing here at the town. But the best thing about both of these guys, and especially Stephen, they love Jonesborough.
Yep.
And I almost think they'd do it for nothing. That's how much they love it. But we got a small little fee we pay them each time, but it's more than worth it. And just excited to have those two quality of individuals helping us get this thing launched successfully.
As in life, you don't have to know everything as long as you know somebody who does, and you can go ask them.
They, if I can comment, they have helped advance us in the last 3 months
Light years.
successfully,
Yeah,
light speed,
yeah,
including programming and the future and
Budgeting.
scheduling. It's
Budgeting,
been
everything.
budget. It's been a
Yeah.
great experience. The
Yeah.
last 3 months have been great.
Did Dan run that Franklin for like 8 years?
He
8
ran it
years.
for 8 years, and Steve has run 3 theaters. And Steve, they're both members of the International Bluegrass Association. And Steve's surrogate granddad growing up was none other than Bill Monroe, the godfather of bluegrass. Pretty dang cool.
Stephen lived here for a while.
4 years.
Yeah, and it was fortunate he knew Amber, so they've got a great relationship. So
Yep.
I think,
He lived at the Helvies.
No, lived
No,
it
the
well,
side of
right
it.
below 'em.
where Aaron
Yeah,
Bibles.
yeah, where the Bibles are.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I shouldn't have said anything.
That's all right.
You were close in one house.
I was 100 feet away.
It was the same property at one point.
All right, so we got two new committees there. Appreciate that. Now we'll move right on down to our new business again. Discussion and possible action concerning approval of a special event application request. Here we got the Pumpkin Fest and the Washington County. Yeah, well, I guess we'll take them separate since they're separate, but shouldn't be no conflict on the first one, the Pumpkin Fest. Can I get a recommendation for that one? Seems to be in order.
Needs to go to Second Avenue.
As you see, we'll
Yes.
change that from First Avenue to
I
Second
recommend
Avenue.
Second Avenue.
Yep. So Alderman, you see that one change, is that a motion, Virginia?
Virginia, is that in form
that a
of a
motion?
motion to approve with that
With the
change?
sec-
That's fine.
All right, we got a motion with that change from Alderman Causey, second from Alderman Dixon. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Catamount.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. We'll look at this next, we'll make sure it doesn't say anything about First Avenue on there.
This
I think
one-
we're okay.
This one is perfect.
This one's
This
perfect.
one's
It's
perfect.
perfect.
Did you hear
I'll make
that,
a
you all?
motion.
Chad.
I'll make a motion to approve this one.
All right, we got a motion to approve the next one for the Washington County, Tennessee Heritage Fair from Alderman Causey,
I'll second it.
second from Alderman Wolf.
Sorry.
Any discussion?
It's a great indeed. It's a brilliant indeed.
You all got the only perfect score tonight. You should feel pretty.
You get free tickets to the Olympic.
Yeah, there you go. Come play
You
croquet.
get to play croquet.
Yeah.
All right, call for the vote, please.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Catamount.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
All right, looks like our year is filling up with events, and dang, then we'll have Jackson going at that same time. It's gonna be something else.
Yep.
All right, next thing is discussion and possible action concerning first reading of an ordinance amending Title I, Chapter 12, Section 11
Yeah.
-1207 of the Jonesborough Sign Ordinance.
Mayor, I looked at this one, and I'm gonna try to do this from memory, because I'll be slow pulling it up, but There we are. It did not delete in the ordinance the two items that were, or that were talked about changing. I need to find my doggone thing here. Thank you for that, very much. As far as I could remember here.
Something we're supposed to remove and it stayed in?
Well, no, you know what? I think I was thinking about the next one. I think I
thinking
was
about
thinking
the
about
next
seven D.
Yeah.
Yeah, seven D. I apologize. I'm ahead of myself. Did you catch that already, Glenn? In
I
the
caught
next
it
one?
before you even spoke.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Of course you did.
Actually, you made me look.
Okay,
You made me look.
at the next one.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
All
there
right.
you go. Yeah.
Big thing on this is deals with LED signs and stuff, which there's more issues with them, so that's what this ordinance is dealing with. So Alderman, you see the
I make a
recommendation?
motion, we approve as presented on seven C.
Okay, got a motion approved from Alderman Wolf?
Yep, yep.
Second.
Got a second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Closet?
Aye.
Alderman Cameron?
Aye.
Alderman Gibson?
Aye.
Alderman Moore?
Aye.
All right, and as Kelly was saying on this next one, we'll let him point out that snafu, but this was a
Well,
good change for our town.
Let Glenn, because he thought of it
All
before I
right.
even said it.
Glenn, what change we need to? This, let me read it out here, though, I need to do that. Discussion and possible action concerning first reading of an ordinance to amend municipal code of the town of Jonesborough, chapter 5, general provisions relating to zoning section 11-513. R1 low-density residential
Yeah.
related to permitted uses.
What comes out of the ordinance, Glenn?
Well, let me just say that when we do road closures, we want to go to Second Avenue. And when we go to the ordinance on R1, we want to reflect what I had in the agenda presentation.
Yes.
So the ordinance would keep number 1, which is single-family
And lose
residences.
number 2 and 3.
And eliminate number 2 and
That's
3,
what I
strike
remember.
through them.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
It's all good.
And I recommend that to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
I would say I would agree and make the motion, we approve it as amended so eloquently by Mr. Rosenbaum.
All right, very good. Got a motion to approve from Alderman Wolf.
Second.
Second from Alderman Causey. And this has been a topic of a lot of conversations out there. Our R1 zone in the past allowed duplexes and even some apartments and things, multifamily. And now changing this R1 to strictly single-family homes. Wherever we've got R1 zone now, then that's strictly going to be single-family homes. And I think that'll put a lot of people at ease and protect the valuable property we've got out there. So appreciate the board having the foresight to do that. Any discussion, Alderman? Call the vote, please.
Alderman Closet?
Aye.
Alderman Cameron?
Aye.
Alderman Gibson?
Aye.
Alderman Moore?
Aye.
All right, last item. Discussion and possible action concerning first reading of an ordinance to de-annex certain property located at Anderson Road and the present corporate boundaries of the town of Jonesborough. I think we accidentally annexed some property or
Mark the
something.
map wrong.
Yep, mark the map. As you can see, recommendation there. Nothing wrong with that. And you got 3 recommendations in there. So let's take those together.
Move to approve.
Got a motion to approve recommendation from Alderman Countermine.
Second.
Got a second from Alderman Causey. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Alderman Causey?
Aye.
Alderman Cameron?
Aye.
Alderman Gibson?
Aye.
Alderman Moore?
I'm going to abstain because I work with Mr. Riddle. I don't want to have a conflict on that.
Well, motion carried, and that's a wrap. Thank you, board. And
Thank you.
folks for attending.
Thank you.